Welcome along to the weekend preview. The countdown to the end of the season is on, and there's 10 more games to look ahead to today. They don't get much bigger than one of the Premier League's oldest rivalries to kick off the match week.
There are no bigger club occasions than this. Blown the championship race wide open. Eric Cantona for Manchester United.
There's your hero. There is your headliner.
It's Freddie Ljungberg. And will Thomas score surely? And does. Arsenal are champions.
Arsenal are invincible no longer.
Arsene Wenger is sent off.
Brilliant and brutal. They're passing. It just had to be. Mikel Arteta has his first victory, and it is a premium victory. Here is the battle, which is not for losing.
Arsenal and Manchester United are both very much in the race for the top four. The Gunners are fifth, level on points with fourth place Spurs, with United 3 points behind in sixth. At the very top of the table, Manchester City and Liverpool remain separated by just 1 point, with only 6 games left to play. At the foot of the table, Norwich and Watford are running out of time now to save their Premier League status, while it looks like a battle between Burnley and Everton to avoid the final relegation spot. Everton do have tough fixtures, but they have a 1 point lead over Burnley and a game in hand. Frank Lampard's side will have to wait until Sunday's late kickoff to play next in a huge Merseyside derby, meaning they could be in the bottom 3 if Burnley beat Wolves earlier in the day. There are 5 matches on Saturday, including league leaders Manchester City hosting Watford. The match week begins with Arsenal against Manchester United at the Emirates, and all finishes on Monday when Crystal Palace take on Leeds at Selhurst Park. And joining me to preview this weekend's games, we've got Tim Sherwood, Owen Hargreaves and Sam Lee. Good to see you all, guys. Look, as one match weekends, another one is quickly around the corner. That's what the end of season is like, Tim. Are we any clearer on anything after these midweek games, particularly the relegation picture after last night's win for Burnley?
Well, it was a huge win. It was a massive win. It was a must-win, in my opinion. It would have been a game that had been highlighted a few months ago. You know, one at home in front of their fans, you know, difficult place to go. They would have expected to win that one. You know, if they've got any chance of staying up, they look so comfortable. I thought they performed well. They played with a smile on their face. Some performances which I didn't recognise. And I thought they were outstanding. McNeil was brilliant off the right-hand side. I thought he was excellent last night. Collins, centre-back, young boy, played with some fun, sending more forward runners, getting bodies into the box, creating more chances. Played with a freedom, which I haven't seen for a long time. That's massive. It's a massive 3 points. Takes them into the Wolves game. If they beat Wolves, they play Watford next. You know, on a run. Back-to-back wins at this stage of the season when you're down there is massive. And I think that, for me, I think they stay up now. I really do. I think Everton are under a huge amount of pressure.
Just goes to show how much one win can galvanise a team. Do you think that's the case for Arsenal in their fight for the top 4 after beating Chelsea midweek?
Well, I'm sure they'll hope so, but I mean, after losing those games, I think they've had a good season, a really good season. In a way, they've overachieved, and then those those losses, bad time to lose to teams they shouldn't have really lost to. I thought the performance against Chelsea was outstanding. Again, the young guys, Smith Rowe and Saka, Ketia played great. That will give them a ton of confidence. They'll believe. Look, Tottenham are in the driver's seat, but I think Arsenal, if they can play like they did at Chelsea, you know, they can go on and win it. I think for United, it's a must-win game. But United need to win. But I think for Arsenal, you know, that performance against Chelsea after the back of those losses was huge.
As a Manchester City correspondent for The Athletic, Sam, what was the feeling like at the Etihad against Brighton when they knew they had to win in order to go back to the top of the table?
Yeah, the fans were nervous. I don't think the players were. I thought the first half was fair enough. I mean, you're a Brighton fan. Did you think at any point that Brighton were about to score? City played pretty well, didn't they? They were on top of things, but the fans were really nervous.
I was hoping for a 0-0.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Liverpool fans were as well. Yeah. But obviously they opened the floodgates in the second half. Guardiola said, look, never mind the pressure of going back top or Liverpool going top before you play. He said, forget it. They'll win all their games. You've got to win all yours. And that's the pressure that he wants to put on his players, that they know going into everything that they just need to do their job and not worry about anything else.
Where can you see it going then?
We were just talking about this before. I wouldn't be surprised if neither team dropped any points now, to be honest. I thought they would do, but now we're getting a bit closer to it. I think they can win all their games with a bit of luck here and there, but I think they both can for sure.
Yeah, they're both looking relentless, aren't they? OK, well, this is what's coming up over the next 90 minutes. We're going to discuss how Chelsea will respond to 3 straight home Premier League defeats when they take on West Ham in a London derby on Sunday. We'll also chat about the league leaders Manchester City, who can widen the gap at the top of the table to 4 points with a win over Watford on Saturday. And we'll look ahead to Sunday's Merseyside derby. Jurgen Klopp's title chasers will be hoping to land a big blow on relegation-threatened Everton.
I just want to have a very intense, very physical and legal aggressive football game, but not more.
Much more to come on that in a bit. But the big news ahead of Arsenal against Manchester United came on Thursday when the away side finally confirmed their new manager for next season. Ajax boss Erik ten Hag announced as the next man in the dugout at Old Trafford. Yes, a 3-year contract has been confirmed. Before we talk about that, let's hear from the current managers of Arsenal and Manchester United, Mikel Arteta and Ralf Rangnick.
He's going to have a lot of twists still, and that's what we have to do, perform and play well tomorrow to deserve to win the match, which I think it will be difficult. I'm not here to assess anybody's performance. I watched the game. It was an exceptional game, the first half, especially the way Liverpool played. It was outstanding. We all know how difficult it is to go to Anfield. They have really good moments in the season. They have exceptional players, and we know that they have the ability to beat anything. Yes, I think he's been really good. What he did a couple of years ago in the Champions League, especially the way his teams play. It's a Man United decision, nothing more to say.
They just draw the right conclusions of what they experienced earlier on in the season. Brought in some young players. Odegaard, for example, got rid of some players who didn't fit into that style of football. Yeah, it's high attacking team with fast strikers, pretty aggressive in the first third, always trying to press and counter press, but still also vulnerable at the back. So yeah, I mean, I like watching them actually, but hopefully not against us tomorrow. So it's up to us to be aware and prepared for what they're doing up front, but at the same time take advantage of the space that we hopefully will get in their half.
Well, it is another huge game for Manchester United off the back of defeat against Liverpool in the Premier League midweek. And the timing of that Erik ten Hag announcement, Owen, it was like the worst kept secret in football. We were all waiting for it to happen. So in terms of that timing, how much did that heavy defeat at Anfield prompt them to make this announcement now?
Yeah, I think it helped. It changes the narrative. You know, you stop talking about how bad Manchester United are and how bad the football is and you know, all that stuff. I think it just changes the narrative and creates a bit of a positive atmosphere. You know, obviously the performance was, well, it was really, really bad.
As bad as you've seen this season?
No, because most of the games are like that when you watch them. You know, you go, I mean, that ball from Man, my word, that was just off the charts. But these guys are on a different level. And I think for United, the issues that they have, struggling, you know, they've been so inconsistent all season. Probably only 2 players have been consistent, De Gea and Ronaldo. And the rest, every game you watch, you just never know what you're going to get. And they played like I expected them to, in a way. I think everybody feared that result could come, and that's what happened. But that's Liverpool building up to what, almost a perfect team right now with Manchester City. United now with Ten Hag, they've got to start, refresh, clean everything out, get a new manager in, 3-year contract. It's probably going to need longer. You know, they're going to need so much to catch Manchester City and Liverpool, but it's a fresh start and it needed one, especially off the back of that performance. What
have they seen in Erik ten Hag that you think has made them go for him over any of the other candidates that were in the running?
Realistically, Jules, who else was out there? Pochettino, I suppose it's a two-horse race, wasn't it? I think the damage Pochettino in the Champions League, I think it was very damaging in recent weeks. Unfortunately, for me, I think it was a safe bid. For me, Ten Hag, never going to get a bigger club than Man United. I mean, anyone who manages United are right out there. Who managed Real Madrid or Man United, the biggest clubs in the world. He's won 2 Eredivisie titles. He's won 2 Dutch Cups. He's worked under Pep Guardiola in Bayern Munich too. He would have learnt a lot off that. He looks like Pep. Let's hope he can coach. Let's hope he can coach like Pep, because he's going to need to. I mean, he's not got a magic wand. The guy, he's never going to. I mean, it's a culture shock, the Premier League, when they first come in, for managers and for players. So he's going to, like Owen said, he's going to have time to adapt. You need to give him the time now. You need to give him the confidence to take the club forward, because it's a good time to manage Man United, because they can't get any worse. It's absolutely disgraceful.
He's known as a bit of a mini Pep, Sam. Is there a danger that, with this appointment now being done and the fact that people are expecting him to change things because he's been given this 3-year contract, that the success at Manchester United is going to be compared to what Jurgen Klopp and Pep Guardiola have done at their clubs?
Yeah, possibly. Like Owen said, it changes the narrative. All of a sudden now United fans are thinking, OK, if we buy this midfielder and this centre-back and this striker, we'll be doing this, this and this. You're right, and he obviously comes with good pedigree. We've seen the positive articles about, I think what's attracted United to him is the level of detail. That the tactical preparation, which is kind of what they wanted from Rangnick. They've obviously gone for that with him. And all these comparisons with, he's worked with Pep, he's like this, and his former players say he's the most detailed coach I've ever worked with. All of a sudden the fans will start thinking, OK, well, here we go then. But again, as both of them have said, there's so much more to it than that. You also need the players to listen to him, because maybe that dressing room's not so receptive to new ideas. That's going to be a big challenge for him. If Pep Guardiola walks into a dressing room now, he could come in on a unicycle juggling, and they'll still listen to what he says.
Absolutely.
The guy comes in from Ajax, and they might go, well, I'll stick to what I'm doing, thanks. So it's a big challenge for him.
Yeah.
The environment's not quite right there, so the big danger is if United think, OK, we've got our man here, we'll buy a few players and we'll be fine. Because what United need to do, they need to restructure elsewhere and just get the environment, everyone pulling together to make life easy for the players day to day, so they can go onto the pitch to perform, which is what happens at City and what happens at Liverpool. And it's just not what happens at United at the moment.
I'd like to see that, by the way, of Pep. What about the rebuilds that you talk about then, Owen? Where does it start? How many are going to leave? How many need to come in?
I mean, a lot, Jules. It needs a lot, and I don't know
but
how much.
But it's not easy to get rid of players.
I don't know how much money they're going to have, because basically they're probably not going to be in the Champions League, which changes who you can go for, changes the players' contracts, changes lots of different things. No, I think you got to figure out what you have, and then you can work around what you need. These are the guys that are going to go. And there's some pretty important players on there. Cavani, Lingard, Mata, Matic, Pogba. I mean, I don't know what the total figure is of all that, what they paid out for. But they're not going to be able to go and forget that. They probably need fullbacks. They need to look at the fullbacks. They need to look at the centre forward. They need probably 2 central midfield players. And then all those guys are going. So then you got the depth, the squad depth. So it needs a lot of money, but I think they're just going to have to take time. Get in the ones you need, whether it's a Declan Rice or a Jude Bellingham or a Harry Kane, and just get some building blocks. I think that's what they need, some building blocks, some stable ones, and then just take time and try and not miss in the transfer windows.
Difficulty is now, I mean, do you think Man United have got the pull like they had previous years? No. It's the history of the club, it's demeaning. It's demeaning now for young players. They don't see Man United as the biggest club in the world like we do. Anyone would be attracted to Man United. Pick up the phone, you say, yes, I'm going to come, before they talk about money. Now, you just look at the negatives. There's so many negatives now. I think Ralf Rangnick has done a terrible job there. He's gone in there, he's meant to steady the ship. It's rockier than ever. I mean, they're not. For me, I don't think they're going to be able to attract the stars. Harry Kane will not even think about going to Man United. He can't talk about leaving Tottenham because he wants to win trophies and go to Man United now. I mean, it's just not in the equation.
But they got to stop talking about winning trophies in the past, because the biggest thing watching Manchester United, I think any of us that have seen, the biggest issue you have, forget the tactics and forget they got to get the culture right. They got to go back to every game. They got to compete. You can lose. There's nothing wrong with losing, but you got to have a go. Some of the performances they had this season and the way they've lost, that I don't think is acceptable. So I think the fans watching that, they know, and I think they got to change the culture. That's why I say a Jude Bellingham, a Declan Rice, lads that you know what they're going to give you every game. You know, they might not be the best players, but they'll give you a 10 out of 10. And I think that's where you need to start, and then you go look at the flair players. But I think they need to get the culture right first and foremost.
But that's part of the issue, isn't it? Because when we saw those names there, senior players, Mata, Matic, Cavani, Pogba as well, all going to go, most likely.
Yeah.
Lingard as well, United lad through and through. You'd normally think these are the guys, these are the core of players you need to build around, but obviously for various different reasons, it's not going to be.
And where are the academy players now, Sam? I mean, where are they? Did they get a chance? I mean, he looks at the academy. It's easy to look at the academy when you're managing Ajax, you know, because you can drop them into a league which
and
is
it's a culture,
very good.
they're all pushed towards the same.
Absolute same
thing.
style of play. They've not got. How do Man United play now? None of us know. We're all guessing all of the time. I mean, it's they're in a mess. They're in a mess. They need to. It's not only the manager they need to change. The culture needs to change at the club. But he needs some help on recruitment. And it's where do you fish? Where do you fish for these players now? Because I think they're in a different pond there to Man City and Liverpool now, where they're trying to fish. Yes, I would still be interested in going, but I'm an old man now. Man United. I remember the history. You know, these young boys coming through now. You know, they're looking at Liverpool's, they're looking at the Man Cities, they're looking at the Chelseas, who are, you know,
it's a good point. You're right. It's a good point. I think the perception of United has changed just because they haven't won anything for all these years, and everybody's looking at City and Liverpool. But I think as a player, if you're the only team I was going to leave Bayern Munich for was Man United. And Tim's right. Before you even spoke about money, the deal was done.
Yeah.
And I think for now, for young players, they look at City and Liverpool and think, I want to be a part of that. You know, where everybody wants to play for Manchester United before. And that is going to be difficult to change. It might take somebody that loves the football club, you know, that was a big fan of it when they were a kid, that wants to go there and...
Or academies.
Affect change, you know.
Academy players, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's none. Well, where are they? If they're there, we haven't seen them. They've not been dipping them out. I mean, Sir Alex Ferguson was the best manager they've ever had. I mean, he built teams. He built teams by putting in young players alongside the good professionals, knowing when to do it, knowing when to bring them out. At the moment, we haven't seen one.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't hang my hat on any of them at the moment because the young academy players who have gone into the team, they've got worse. They've got worse because it looks like the pressure's too much for them. There's not enough good professionals in and around them to help them develop. It's not only the manager's fault, it's the professionals. You need good teachers on the pitch as well. I don't think they got leaders. They got no leaders there at that football club at the moment. And they need surgery, major surgery. But this guy, you know, comes with a reputation. He's done it before, but he's never done it in Man United. And Ralf Rangnick was a good choice. You know, we were all getting excited about Ralf Rangnick. You know, I always said from the outset, he's come from development clubs, built a structure. Now that club needs that, but it's huge pressure doing it at Man United. It's different when you're in the Red Bull cycle, or you're at a club like Ajax. Which, yes, he's won at Ajax, and yes, he's done well. He's got to the semi-final of the Champions League. But every single week, you've got to keep your foot on the pedal. You cannot lose games. You can't lose 3 games at Man United as a Man United manager. Now you seem to be able to, and they accept it. It's not good enough.
Yeah. Coming into this game as well, you mentioned there, Owen, that you don't think Manchester United are going to finish in the top 4 and get a Champions League spot. But this game could have a huge impact on that, because if Manchester United win it, then they actually go equal on points with Arsenal, and the race is still wide open with the amount of games that's left to play with those 3 teams. So how much of a fight do you expect to see from Manchester United against this Arsenal side? Now that this news has been released, do you expect the United team to be revived?
Hopefully. Look, hopefully. You shouldn't need that. I mean, you look at the fixtures, the amount they played, obviously United play 1 more and they're 3 points behind. So in a way, it's simple. You've got to win. If you're Manchester United, you've got to win. But the problem is, you can see the fear on the group of players, you know, and obviously off the back of Arsenal, the way that, you know, Arsenal's wins really, the big ones they've had lately have come, they haven't had much of the ball. You know, when they dominate the ball, Arsenal, they tend not to win. So I think they might want to play on the counter-attack a little bit. When they're quick in transitions like they were against Chelsea, they're really, really difficult to play against. So I'm curious to see how the game sets out. United don't look comfortable on the ball at all, you know, in possession. So someone's going to have to give. But I just worry, any team that's had confidence like United has right now, you just don't know what you're going to get for them as a group of players. I think Ralph doesn't know, the fans don't know. And a fixture like that is really difficult against one of the youngest teams in the league. But when they're good, they're great, Arsenal.
And 3 brilliant goal scorers, all from the academy at Arsenal, scored against Chelsea. Shows the contrast between the 2 teams as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I think the academy players have been the best players at Arsenal for a number of years now. You know, Smith Rowe's been outstanding. Saka's been even better. Martinelli, you know, and Nketiah, when he gets his opportunities, yes, it's been in the League Cup. primarily, but when he gets a chance in the Premier League, he seems to have taken it. So why can't he be the answer? They need a goal scorer. Lacazette's not the answer. He's obviously a good citizen in the dressing room and helping these young boys through. And I think he's a decent player, but he's more of a 10 than a 9. And Nketiah is a fox in the box, and give him a chance, he will score. You know, Chelsea come from behind twice, but Arsenal just keep probing. This is a great finish. I mean, it's scabby, but it's what you need if you're going to be a 9. And Saka, that's the first penalty after he missed in the Euros for England. So give him every credit in the world, you know, to put that game to bed there under pressurised environment. There you have it there. I mean, that boy Saka and Smith Rowe have been a revelation. Also, we have to mention Odegaard. He's been outstanding. I mean, he's really fitted into the style of how Arteta wants to play. I thought he was a slow burner at first. All of a sudden now, he wants to be a number 10, and he's turned into. Listen, he's got a long way to go before he's Dennis Bergkamp, but he's building something there. The youngest team in the league. I think he's done a good job, Mikel Arteta.
And it would be a massive achievement if they were to get top 4 and be in the Champions League next season. Let's see how it all pans out. Let's move on and talk title race and fight for survival now as Manchester City take on Watford. Let's hear from both managers.
Just prefer to be in this position that don't have chance to. To try to make back-to-back to Premier League title. So, like I said after the game, remain 6 games. We are already qualified for the Champions League. That is a big success for the club. And of course, now we have the target to the Premier League. Roy Hodgson have an incredible experienced manager with Crystal Palace. Always we struggle to break them down, to do good games. And Watford, when you analyse the quality they have, especially the physicality they have in the middle, and especially up front, but in the same time we know what we have to do. So be ourselves and try to get 3 more points.
We're enormously wary of the fixture because we know how easy it is to get heavily beaten up there because of their enormous attacking talent and of course the wealth of talent that Pep has at his disposal. But I still think it's a good game to play. I'm hoping that the confidence won't have been totally shattered by the last minute goal in the last game, where in actual fact the second half performance was probably as good as we've given them for a long period of time. So I'm rather hoping that they'll think more about the way we actually played against Brentford in the second half, and not just the fact that we've once again had to swallow that bitter pill of a defeat.
Well, with Manchester City playing before Liverpool this weekend and looking to extend the gap at the top of the table, they probably couldn't have picked a better fixture than this, could they, Sam?
Looking at me as if I'm like the spokesperson.
Yeah,
for City,
you watch more of City than I do.
No, but like if I say, oh yeah, and then they draw, lose. I'm going to look an idiot. It's not my fault.
I know.
It's easy.
Yeah, but yeah. It's definitely one of those. After that run of fixtures, Atletico Madrid, Liverpool, to come off the back of that and go, no offence, but Brighton and Watford at home. When you've only got 7 games left, and then the first 2 of those are Brighton and Watford, it does help a bit, especially when, Liverpool made light work of United, but they've got Everton as well. Big games for them to go into. It does help for City that it is Watford this weekend, 3 o'clock on a Saturday, at home. It couldn't be any more favourable, really.
8-0 the last time these two sides met at the Etihad. Obviously, Watford have gone down and got promoted since then. But do you remember this one, Tim?
I don't. It just got scored. Just go score all the time, don't they? It doesn't matter. I can't remember the goals. I lost count after a while. I'm not that bright. I do remember Roy Hodgson getting a result at the Etihad, was it?
Yeah,
Andros Townsend volley.
Yeah.
So he's got a history. He's been there and done it. No one's expecting him to do it. So they've got nothing to lose. They go there. This is not the game that's going to keep them in the league, and I even think they're relegated anyway, Watford. Is this still the same game?
It's still the same game, Tim.
Wow.
There we go. That's the 8th.
They just fed up celebrating in the end. Yeah, so no, they don't want to be on the end of that, Watford, but there's a good chance they might be.
The only reason I remember that is because I had KDB captained in my fantasy team, basically. But you can't see this going any other way, can you, Owen, other than a City win?
No. I think if they score early, then it's a big one. It's a big score, because that's the biggest issue. If City are so good, if they score early, it just puts you under so much pressure because you've got to come out, and then you think we're not going to come out because we're going to get beat. big. That's what Brighton did well. You know, they hung in there for a while, even though they didn't create much. But they hung in there, kept it tight. I think Watford defensively, they're so poor. They can't really get out, even though, as Roy said, they've got a few good athletes, but I just see them losing big.
Okay, so if this is an easy, simple, straightforward game for Pep Guardiola's side then, Sam, how does the next couple of weeks look to you? Because they've got a couple of really tough matches in the Champions League against Real Madrid. How much will that be distracting them from the title race?
Well, I don't think it can be. I think you'll make a couple of changes here and there. That's the only reason, when you asked earlier, is there going to be any slip-ups? You'd think it will be around them, but if you're looking at it, the only one that I think is especially difficult is Wolves. I think Wolves away will be horrible.
I agree.
Like Wolves when they're playing. No, it could be. I think it might be between West Ham and Villa.
Of course.
Wolves have got Liverpool away last game of the season, so they could make that difficult then. But Wolves they'll dig in. Wolves, when they go to Burnley this weekend, they could lose at Burnley. But when they play against the big teams, they're really, really difficult to play against. A bit like Atletico Madrid, actually. And they only lost by a narrow, dodgy penalty at the Etihad earlier in the season. They might be wanting to make up for that. That's a really difficult one. West Ham, you'd say, obviously, but I think City, they can beat West Ham. Leeds away, they can beat Leeds. They'll get space to play, and they should be all right. Wolves, there won't be any space. They might be relying on another penalty, another set piece, a moment of magic or something like that. So that's the one where I'm thinking is difficult. But other than that, the only thing that could get in the way is having to make changes for Real Madrid.
How much do they want the Champions League, though, Owen? We know how desperate Pep Guardiola is to win that trophy with Manchester City. So can you see there being a slip-up around those Real Madrid games?
Not really. I think the Real Madrid game is difficult because obviously they're heavy favourites, but the experience those guys have, you know, that group of players together, you know, it's a huge game for them. They'll be right up for it and they'll hang in there. You know, they'll play on the counter and they'll be effective. But I just think they're too strong for all those teams I saw there. I think the West Ham game is the only one I think could be tough. You know, I think they're hard to play against West Ham physically. David Moyes sets them up really good tactically. They're sound. They know their roles. But I just look at all those fixtures there and I think I don't see them losing any. They have the squad depth they have to be able to rotate and play different players in the Champions League or the Premier League. I just think they're so strong, so well coached, and none of the boys, they never take any days off. You know, they never take any time off, and I think that's why they're so good.
Do you see it any differently, Tim? No.
Exactly as Owen's seen it. They don't drop any points there for me in the Premier League.
Okay.
I think the only thing is in between the Real Madrid games. You know, they progress as well. You know, for me, no. In short, no. They win every game.
Straight to the point.
Like Guardiola's a bit worried because Walker's got an ankle injury. Ake got an ankle injury at the weekend. Stones has got a bit of a muscle thing. The way he was talking at the press conference today, Diaz is just back. I think he's okay. But the way he was talking in the press conference earlier, Pep, he was like, I think he said we're in trouble. You know, he said it a few times. But they're down to about 13, 14 players. And fair enough, they're all like world-class players. So it's not too bad. But in terms of making those rotations, Cancelo's banned from the Real Madrid game. So there's not too much you can do there. So he might be worried about that. He's going to need some of those defenders back quick. That's the only real thing that he'd be worried about. But like you say, they can rotate players in. He said if they have to play a winger at centre-back, they'll do it.
They have the ability to do it.
It'll probably be all right.
Yeah. OK, we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll continue previewing the weekend's matches, including a Merseyside derby. Liverpool will look to close the gap on Man City at the top by that point. Welcome back to the weekend preview. Sunday's late kickoff is a big one as Liverpool take on their Merseyside rivals Everton in one of the most important derbies between the two in recent memory.
Cannot live together, cannot live apart. The next twist in the complex relationship between two utterly detached neighbours.
It's a huge derby.
The biggest derby that I'll ever experience.
The most important derby for years.
It's the worst. It could be the best.
It's probably the biggest chasm between the two sides ever. Liverpool are going for the title. Everton are staring relegation down the barrel.
My eyes are filling up now even thinking about it. Never want to see us. Never want to see us.
It could be the end. For both teams, this could be history. We are on a run that we've never been before. They are potentially going to do something that they've never done before.
They were born from our club. They don't deserve to relegate us. They won't relegate us. You could never ever write Everton off in a derby match. I've learned that at my peril.
If they stopped us and we end up losing the league, yeah, of course, they're going to love it, aren't they?
Not happening.
We won there last season. The hoodoo is broken.
Let's go with the Blues. We've got it in us.
Liverpool need the 3 points just as much as Everton. It's all or nothing.
Liverpool winning the league, Everton going down. It's the perfect season, isn't it?
Oh, it is a proper rivalry, isn't it? Title-chasing Liverpool play host to an Everton side in real relegation trouble on Sunday. A derby win for either team will be worth so much more than just local bragging rights. Let's hear from both managers ahead of kickoff, Frank Lampard and Jurgen Klopp.
This derby's never lacked intensity, to be honest. And that's, I love intensity in football, I love physicality in football, but just there's a rule book, and just make sure that we all stick to that. Don't go over the top, these kind of things. They make it like in the good old times, let me say like this, and even we suffered from these situations. I just want to have a very intense, very physical and legal aggressive football game, but not more. So because we play games after the derby as well, we should not forget, all of us, and them, us. So that's all. But apart from that, it was always very intense, and yes, this one is important for both, but I can't remember when it was not important for us.
It's a huge fixture, and I'm very proud to be managing this football club and going up in a game of this size. You know, I've watched it from afar many a time, marvelled at the atmosphere and the history of the game. The reality is we're going up against one of, if not the best team in the world in current form. We had two of them in the Premier League and in Manchester City. So it's a tough match on whatever way you look at it, but we'll prepare as we always do with an idea of how we want to play, and the things I expect from the players, whether at home or away, is passion and fight and a desire, because there's not a game plan in world football that will work without that.
Well, I can't remember a more pressurised Merseyside derby in recent times. So much riding on this, Tim.
More
for
pressure
both
on who?
teams.
More pressure on Liverpool or Everton? I'll tell you the answer.
Go on.
Everton. I've been at both ends of the table. There's pressure at the top, of course, because you want to win. But for Everton to get relegated to the Championship with their history and the amount of money what they've spent, could be the end of the football. I mean, it could be devastating for this football club if they was to get relegated. I'm not saying this is a be-all and end-all, and this is winner takes all. Of course it's not, but it's help. They need, the pressure's on Everton between now and the end of the season. They need results, and they need them quick. Because when it gets to the nitty-gritty, right down to the last two, three games, you need that experience. And I think that's where Burnley come out on top for me. They've got a group of players who are conditioned for the dogfight down there, know what it's like to scrap for their lives to stay in the league. And Everton, a complete contrast. Got a group of players who've been brought to the club to fight for Europa League, and it's not materialised, and now they find themselves in trouble.
And look at those fixtures, Owen. It doesn't look like good reading for Everton, does it? When you compare the fixtures of the two teams, where can you see there being a real gear change in the table?
Well, I think if you look at Everton, obviously the Liverpool one, you know, at Anfield, I think that they got no chance. I'd say like literally 2% chance of getting anything there. Chelsea, that's such a hard game, obviously, for them. Leicester, been inconsistent, you know, away, but you never know. Watford fighting for their life. Brentford found a bit of form. Palace are a good side on the day. So I think for Everton, they're super tough fixtures. They really are, because again, they're like United. Confidence is hit. They don't really know what they're going to get. I think for Burnley, Tim makes a great point. They're tried and tested. They've been there. All this group of players, you know, they've been in this every season, you know, and so I think for them, they'll be comfortable, and I think they'll find a way, you know, but I fear for Everton going to Anfield, you know, because the form Liverpool are in, they're just destroying teams. And I think as a player, they're probably going in there fearing the worst, hoping for the best, but fearing the worst.
I'm going to be glass half full for Everton fans right now. Going into a Merseyside derby, okay, yes, it is Liverpool. They are playing at their absolute peak right now, Sam. But is a derby actually the fixture they could want? It could actually spur them on to getting something out of this game.
Well, I suppose if it's not going to be this, what is it going to be? But I mean, they only beat Man United a couple of weeks ago. I know Man United are terrible as well, but if Everton were that bad, then they wouldn't have done it. I kind of get the feeling that it might be close on Sunday. I think Liverpool will still win, but I get the feeling Everton will go and they'll scrap. And if there's an opportunity for them to, they can sit back. There's maybe no onus on them to go and play and dictate the tempo of the game. They can sit back, they can scrap, they can make it difficult. Will Liverpool still create the chances and be clinical enough to take them? Probably. But you're right, the derby atmosphere, the feeling that they've got to go there and do something, I suppose. I guess they'll probably be thinking more about what they need to do to stay up rather than saying, well, we can derail them. But it's a bit of a bonus as well.
Years gone by, Sam, I think derby was a derby when you could put your foot in. You know, you can make it, if there was a technical mismatch of the two teams, you could have a fight. You know, you can make it a rough game. The laws of the game don't allow that anymore. You know, it's too clean. You know, there's not tackles. I mean, them Everton fans want to, when you see them play at home, they want to cheer block tackles. You know, they're happy for any scraps at the moment. They won't get the ball. They won't get the ball off Liverpool. Defensively, they are so bad. They will just get open up time and time again. Liverpool take the chances. We could need someone to change the light bulbs on the scoreboard. It could be such a big score.
Tim, you know what? The thing with Everton as well is that they, as well as leaking goals, Owen, is they haven't been taking their chances when they've come their way. Richarlison could have had a hat-trick midweek against Leicester. Luckily, he did actually manage to get an equaliser in the end. How crucial could that point turn out to be for Frank Lampard's side?
Well, I think every point is vital for them. I just fear for them. You know, the way that they defended all season. They concede strange goals. You know, they look like soft goals. If I was Frank, that's what I'd do. I'd get the ball up the pitch quick. Yeah. You know, get it to Richarlison quick, get it to Calvert-Lewin quick. Make it difficult. You know, keep the ball away from their box. You know, Richarlison on his day, he's fantastic. But the biggest problem is how they're going to get up the pitch. You know, their away form has been dreadful, Everton. So the thing I like about Richarlison, he competes. You know, he's a Brazilian, but he's got a bit of nastiness in him. And you need that when you go to a place like Anfield. You know, he'll relish the occasion because he's the type of player, strikes me, he thinks he could play on a team like that. So he'll see it as an audition. And if he can put in a big performance, then they might have a chance, but I don't see it.
Their away form has been dreadful as well this season, Tim. 6 points is all they have won away from Goodison Park in this entire season. Yeah,
it's been bad. I mean, it was bad before Frank went in there. It's not improved. I think he's done it's not been a good job he's done, isn't it? He's not really given them a bounce. They are defensively all over the place. They don't create too many chances. They're not clinical enough. They don't control any football matches. Can't feel of too many positives for Everton fans at the moment. But, you know, on paper they look good. But as we can quite clearly see, you know, where they are. The fans said it there in the VT. If you get relegated, you deserve to get relegated. And if you deserve to win the league, you actually win it. And that's where they are. You know, no one's going to feel sorry for them. You know, no one. They deserve what they get. And at the moment, they need to fight and scrap. And it's something which is probably foreign to some of them players that didn't expect to find themselves in this position. But it's real, you're in it. And the longer it goes, I think if they can win Burnley in the next 2 games against Wolves and Watford, it just heightens the pressure, just turns it up on them. And then they will start thinking about the Championship next year. And as soon as that goes into your mind, I think you're on a slippery slope.
OK, let's talk Liverpool then, because they're flying at the moment. And I think Sam pointed it out already. Can't see either Liverpool or Manchester City dropping any points between now and the end of the season. How good have they been for you, Owen, lately?
I mean, to me, they're almost close to the perfect team. They, in terms of goalkeepers, world class. Van Dijk makes football look far too easy. It's a lot harder than it is. The 2 fullbacks are ridiculous. They're the new number 10s with the assists. The midfield 3, the balance now is perfect. Fabinho. I think Thiago's playing fantastic, and Henderson. So they got the balance right in there, and then they got 5 world-class attackers. I mean, and now he can pick and choose when he plays, whether it's Diaz, whether it's Jota. We know Mane, we know Salah. Firmino's an unbelievable player as well. The depth all of a sudden that they have the deepest squad in the league. Now they can rotate, and all of a sudden, and then with Klopp's kind of mentality, you know, they compete in every game, and I love that. You know, Pep plays the most beautiful football of anyone, and when it's good, it's the best. But I think Klopp's football is so perfect, because football isn't perfect. You know, even sometimes you don't play well, but they're in every game, Tim, aren't they? Yeah. You know, the way they compete, I just think, is a beautiful thing to watch.
Well, he sets them up with a tempo where they have to adopt that. I mean, Man City can rest on the ball. They keep the ball. They've got more technicians, without taking it away from Liverpool, but they want to play at 100 mile an hour, and it's exciting for their fans to watch. That's what they demand, and they don't have to play well to win games, because they got, as Owen said, they got world-class strikers, clinical strikers who just fight off scraps. You know, sometimes they can score brilliant goals, of course they can, but it only takes 1 second of magic from one of these guys and they can score goals. You know, and that's what it's all about. And defensively, Van Dijk, he just marshalled the defence, goalkeeper Alisson behind. He just looks so assured, fullbacks flying forward. It's just great to watch. You know, if you want a season ticket, you're going for the 2 best teams in the league, which is Man City and Liverpool. It's a toss-up which brand of football you want to watch.
Yeah. Sam, in terms of the squads, Owen alluded to it there. He said Liverpool actually have the deeper squad now. Do you see that when you compare it to City's?
Yeah, definitely. My mate, poor fellow, he wrote an article the other day saying City haven't got the squad to go for the treble. And it was like memed everywhere, you know, Paddy Power having a go, all the football memes going, oh, we're supposed to feel sorry for Pep. But that's how it is at the minute. You know, they've, like I said earlier, even if they got 13, 14 players, which is obviously not a lot, they're all high quality. They probably all cost, 50 million at least. So no one's going to feel any sympathy. But in terms of being able to change, like we said, those Real Madrid games, it gets a bit harder. Also, in terms of the FA Cup game last week, Liverpool had the luck of the draw a bit. They could rotate their team in that Benfica game. City had the battle in Atletico Madrid, and all of a sudden they go to Wembley and the 2 teams are on different paths completely. But yeah, what Liverpool have got all of a sudden, there's so many options. Like Thiago, they've not had a player like Thiago in so long. The midfield, even when they won the league, was kind of workmanlike and one pace. Yeah. It was certainly good enough to win the league, and like hugely so. But now they've got different options in there as well. They got Keita who can come in. Fabinho's really established himself at the back of it, and with Diaz coming in January out of nowhere, just hit the ground running. He's just another threat. The fact that they can mix it up by playing long balls. If they're being pressed, they'll just put the ball over the top, go and chase it down, put the defence under pressure. They're so clinical. Salah hasn't stopped scoring. Well, I suppose he's had a bit of a rough patch, but back with 2 the other night. Effectively hasn't stopped scoring goals for 4 years now?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Mane's in good form again. Jota, I mean, how tall is he? He scored about 20 headers. He's unbelievable in the air. Another different option there. They have got a hell of a lot of options.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they have got the deepest squad. I don't think anyone was saying that at the start of the season. No. It was probably Chelsea, and everyone will say about City as well. But yeah, Liverpool have as well. And like you say, the way Klopp's got them all tuned in to do what he wants, it's formidable.
Yeah, and when we looked at Manchester City's fixtures still to come, let's take a look at Liverpool's now, because of course they are also in the Champions League semi-finals and they take on Villarreal. So they've got Newcastle sandwiched in between those 2 semi-final matches, followed by Spurs afterwards.
That's the game for me, Newcastle away. I think that's a tough fixture.
It's 12:30 as well. Klopp's been complaining, hasn't he?
Is it?
12:30 on a Saturday.
After the Villarreal game, I think it's a real tough fixture. They're flying at the moment. The atmosphere is unbelievable up there at St James's Park, and I think that's a real tough fixture. Obviously, Tottenham's going to be difficult. In the likes of Harry Kane, you've got Heung-min Son in your side. You've always got a chance to play a very high line. They got exposed in behind when Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, so that's going to be a difficult game. Other than that, I don't see him dropping any other points, but that's 2. There's probably a loss and a draw in there for me.
Okay. With the quadruple still on for Liverpool, how much will they be thinking about that, Owen?
I think you'd think about it, but you wouldn't really think it's realistic. I mean, looking at those fixtures, they're obviously harder than Man City's. And looking at them, I think they'll drop points somewhere.
Whereabouts? Do you think Newcastle as well?
Look, the Villarreal games are really hard because he is such a good manager, Unai Emery. I know it didn't work out at Arsenal, but his team is so well coached and well drilled. Those 2 games will take a lot out of Liverpool. But I think they're all hard games on some level. You look at Newcastle, you look at Tottenham, Villa under Stevie G. You got a good group of players. If they get it right, it's hard. Chelsea, we all know what Chelsea can do, and obviously Wolves defensively are an incredible team. And Ralph Southampton, when they get it, when they're good, they're fantastic. So I think for Liverpool, they're really tough. They're really tough fixture. I think they'll drop points in. I think they might drop points in a couple of those.
I feel like you're both leaning towards Liverpool dropping points somewhere, so therefore the title going to Man City. So how much of an amazing achievement would the treble still be if they win the Champions League and the FA Cup as well as the League Cup they've already got?
For Liverpool?
For Liverpool.
But what I'd be saying if I'm Jurgen Klopp, I'm saying to the group of players, you can end up with 1. You could end up with 1. And how bad a season would that be?
Would it be?
What, one trophy? I think that's a bad season for Liverpool. From now. What
even if they won the Champions League?
No. Don't win
They've got the League Cup, yeah.
They won the
League Cup. But if they don't win anything else now...
They could end up with just the League Cup.
Oh, yeah, that's a bad
season.
Yeah.
From where we are, a month to the end of the season, 3 weeks in. I mean, we're talking about a quadruple, could end up with one. That's what if I'm Jurgen, that's what I'm telling them. So you need to concentrate. Yes, it could be brilliant. Of course it could. Are they capable of winning all 4? Yes, they are. That's the answer, but they could end up with one, and keep reminding them of that.
Okay, that is motivation for you then. Okay, let's go from the Merseyside derby to a London derby now. We'll hear from Thomas Tuchel and David Moyes.
I never feel secure in Premier League. That's my personal feeling, and I think it's good. I think nobody should never, because it's feeling secure does not keep you on the edge, and feeling secure is just very, very close in thin line to being lazy or not. It's a very emotional, very physical squad, very hard to break down, very hard to create chances. Very, very dangerous in counterattacks and set pieces. So there's a lot to take care about, and it needs a lot of physicality and a lot of commitment to stand up against them. But full credit to them, and it will be a very tough one, of course.
I think we've had something like 21 games with only 2 days in between. It's something 2 days between each game, so it's something really new for us. Maybe other teams are used to it, but it's new for us. But we're still in there, we're still in a decent league position, and obviously we're in a semi-final of a major European competition. Chelsea, I've been arguably we're the favourites probably in the first 3 or 4 months of the season for the Premier League. I think since then, you've seen the strength of Manchester City and Liverpool. But look, they're European champions from last year. They've got an incredibly strong squad, and they've got a really good team, good manager.
Yeah, it's another intriguing match to look forward to this weekend. Let's start off with the home side Chelsea, whose home form actually has been a bit strange lately. They've lost their last 3 matches at Stamford Bridge in all competitions. It almost feels like Chelsea's season just starting to peter out a bit, Owen.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you see some of the, big one is kind of the mistakes they've made, I think, defensively. That's not really like Chelsea. So the Arsenal game was a big surprise. I think everything that's gone on, I think it's really difficult for Thomas Tuchel. I think he's done an amazing job kind of managing that whole situation. Still, Man City and Liverpool have been absolutely unbelievable this season, and they're the 3rd best team by some way. So I think if they can finish 3rd, I think they consider that a good season. I think they'll beat West Ham. But he's done all that with all those issues and not really having a number 9. They got Lukaku, it's not a good fit, doesn't work. I'm sure they'll address that. But I just love the job that he's done there, and I just think if they can finish the season, finish 3rd, and get a fresh start, get some players in, I think they'll be back to be one of the best teams in the league.
Why do you think there have been some more defensive errors in the team of late, Tim?
Rudiger's missing, so I think he's a big blow for him when he's missing. I think they look like they're better as a 3 as well, with Thiago in there. Christensen's making mistakes. Looks like he's not going to be at the club next season. Arsenal played well, and Chelsea didn't. I didn't think there was much cohesion. You're absolutely right from the top when you said there, Jules, and the motivation. I'm not sure there's too much motivation there for them now. Just wait till the end of the season, see how they can strengthen. They've got a few problems there with contracts of players. Lukaku's a big issue when you're paying 100 million for a striker and it's not really worked out. I feel I've got a little bit of sympathy for Lukaku. I don't think he's used in the best way to get the best out of him. But I agree with Owen. I think Thomas Tuchel's the right man. I think given the right players, he will make them challenge, and I don't think they're too far away. It looks like they're far away because Man City and Liverpool are so good. But I think they're the closest to them, and that's obvious because they're in 3rd position. But I don't see Tottenham and Arsenal and Man United getting any closer to Chelsea next season.
Yeah, the performances have been a little bit up and down, but then a player who's kind of come into his best form of the season, Timo Werner. Where's that come from?
Well, I suppose you could say it's about time.
Yeah, I think so.
It would probably
Chelsea fans will say
that. If it wasn't now, it would be never. Because you can allow a player to have a year to settle in, and then maybe you start hitting the ground running 2nd season. Or maybe it's at Christmas. If it doesn't start coming by this point, you definitely start thinking, well, we'll sell this guy. But it's there. I can see, he is always in the right positions for them. He just seems to fit them better than Lukaku does with the way that Tuchel plays. But obviously the issue with him has been the confidence in front of goal. It's never really been there, but I suppose it's the old thing. Once you get a couple, a bit of luck there as well, the confidence is up. And maybe it's that, because he's always been in the right positions. I remember the Champions League final last year. He had some huge chances in the first half, didn't take them, and that's been the case this season as well. But now he's maybe finally getting that bit of luck, and I don't know, maybe it turns around now, and maybe he's their next guy, their main guy next season.
Yeah. Do you think he's perhaps taken a bit of confidence out of the situation that's happened with Lukaku?
No, I bet he feels for Lukaku. I think in a way it's amazing that he plays as much as he does, because he's been so poor in front of goal. But because he gives you so much other stuff, the lads love him, the manager loves him. You know, he presses the ball, he kind of starts to press. You know, he creates space for other people because he's always on the move. So I think he's one of those players. He's super unselfish. Okay, they bought him for a lot of money to score goals. He struggled to score goals. That's a fact. You know, but Lukaku has as well. So I think he's done. I'm actually really proud of him. Really, to play as much as he has to. As much as his confidence was hit, and you can almost see it on him that he was struggling, but he would kind of run through it. I really admire that in him. So I think next season he could have a big season if he features. But to play through that is not easy.
And their face.
Would his value still be up, like in Germany?
Yeah.
Because he's still a good age. He obviously was prolific over there. It's not worked out for him over here. I know it's difficult, COVID times, not had to have the family over. He hasn't had friends, but Lukaku, completely different. That value is gone. They're never getting anywhere near what they paid for Lukaku back. Wages are huge as well. They've got a real problem with him. With Timo Werner, I agree. And it's a cameo now. It's a little case in the shop window now to the end of the season. I think Thomas Tuchel doesn't believe that he's the answer. But I think now he's giving him every opportunity to put yourself in the shop with us and get that value back.
Okay.
And they can spend it elsewhere.
What about West Ham? Massive fortnight ahead for the Hammers, Owen, because of course they have a semi-final to look forward to in the Europa League. But in the Premier League, David Moyes is still saying he's staying focused on trying to get them a European spot for next season, should they not get to the final and win the Europa League.
Yeah, I think you got to love this team, West Ham. The way they compete every game, they're so overachieving, it's unbelievable, really. To even be near the Champions League is amazing. Europa League semi-final against Frankfurt, that's going to be amazing. And I think every game for them is going to be a highlight now. Obviously, they wanted to get in the Champions League. They might not get it in the league, but they might win the Europa League. For me, they're the best team left in the Europa League. They're the hardest team to play against. Physically, with their size and the way that they play, unbelievable on set pieces. They make every game difficult. I don't care how good a team you are, they make it difficult. Credit David Moyes, you know, for him bouncing back. He's built a team that reflects the kind of the one he had at Everton. I think for me, they're the favourite to win Europa League, and I think they'll upset a few people. The
question has always been on David Moyes' squad depth, hasn't it, Tim, and whether they can go deep in the Europa League as well as compete in the Premier League. And now we're really seeing signs of that. Craig Dawson is their only fit centre-half heading into the biggest week of their season.
Oh, he'll be wrapping the players he needs in cotton wool between now and the Frankfurt games. And he's got every right to, because he's earned the right, because they've got themselves in the semi-final. They win the final. I agree with Owen. I think they are the best team left in it. They still need to be clinical in front of goal. I think they can dig in. They can grind out results, but they need to, when they get them chances, they need to take them. If they do, they'll win it. They'll qualify then for the Champions League. Champions League, West Ham. Hold on, let me pinch myself. I know. Incredible achievement, winning the trophy. And I think he's got every right to rest the players now, between now and the end of the season, because this one big prize, got to put all his eggs in that basket, but it's a difficult one. This game is difficult for him to rest, because the rivalry between these two sides and two sets of fans is enormous. So he will realise that. The thing is about David Moyes, no one pulls the wool over his eyes. He knows what's happening on the outside. He can relate to these fans. Wherever he's been, he always relates to the public. And I think he will know that the rivalry is huge and they need to get something out of this game. So this might not be the right one, but he has to do what he feels is the best for the football club and himself and that group of players. And I think it is nursing them through to that Frankfurt game.
Owen mentioned earlier about Declan Rice and a potential move to Manchester United in the summer. He's forever linked with moves away from West Ham. But if they were to achieve Champions League football, does he stay at West Ham?
It's tricky, isn't it? Because
what a great question.
I know, but it's one of those, isn't it? Like, in that point of view, it's easy to think, okay, yeah, we'll do a season in the Champions League with his club. I know he came through with Chelsea, but it's a club he feels a lot for. But then if you're in that position, you think, Are the big teams going to come knocking again? If you get injured, do you miss the boat? I don't know. I think if it were me, I'd have to take the punt. And
but Sam,
even if they got in the Champions League,
does he not fall into that category what I was talking about earlier?
Yeah.
Is he not a new breed of player who doesn't see United as a giant football club?
Oh yes, I wasn't necessarily thinking about United, to be fair. I was thinking, City, Chelsea, that kind of thing. If it was United, yeah, possibly. I don't know. I don't know what, because when you were having this talk earlier, it made a lot of sense. But I'm thinking, I'm sure a lot of players would still think there's a lot of reasons to go there. You could give them the big talk, we've got this new manager now, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
You earn this amount of money. We're playing with, I don't know, playing with Ronaldo, is that still a good thing that you'd want to go and do? Probably, if he's still there. United's a harder sell, like you were saying earlier on. Straight away, you'd be thinking, I'll go to City for sure, go to Liverpool for sure, maybe even Chelsea, because they could maybe make a good case as well. United less so, I think.
He could play for all of them though, couldn't he?
Oh yeah, he's unbelievable. Oh, and did you say earlier they might not be the best, but they're worth getting in? I think Rice could be the best. I think he's unbelievable.
For who?
Well, I think you mentioned earlier on United. You were like, they might not be the best players around, but they'd be great signings. But I think Rice is probably as good as you can get.
See, but that's the biggest problem with these teams, how they recruit players now. They go for the name rather than the best fit.
Yeah.
Declan is what they need.
For sure,
Jude Bellingham is what they need. They don't need any more flair. They need players who are going to compete. Ralph says it in every press conference.
So what you mean compared to
they go
big
for
name forwards or wingers,
flary names.
For sure.
Declan changes culture. Jude Bellingham changed culture. So I'd love to see those guys there. I think if Declan's looking at it now, what he's done at West Ham is amazing. But I think as a player, he'll be looking, I want to take the next step.
Yeah.
And if he puts them in the Champions League, that is huge on Declan's CV because he's a club captain. He's one of the most important players.
It's a bit like the Grealish thing last year. A load of Villa fans were like, why would he leave? He can do this with us. And we're on the verge of the Champions League or whatever. But if you're Grealish and someone wants to pay £100 million for you and it's a big club, I think you've got to do it. And it would be the same for Rice. But I don't know. Well, every time David Moyes talks about him, the value's gone up by about 20 million.
It's true.
I think it's about 150 million
Every time
now.
he kicks a football, his value goes up.
But he's great, so I can
good.
see. And again, like you say, Moyes has earned the right to manage the squad how he wants. Yeah. He's earned the right to put whatever price tag he wants on Rice because he's that good and he's that valuable to them.
Yeah. OK, we're going to take another break. When we return, there is another derby to talk about, another London one, as well as Brentford take on Tottenham. Tottenham fighting for that Champions League spot. We'll talk about that next. Welcome back. Let's just remind you of what's to come this weekend. Then it all begins with a good old school Premier League rivalry between Arsenal and Manchester United in a match at the Emirates that could be significant in that fight for the top four. Then there are 3 o'clock kickoffs, including Manchester City taking on Watford, looking to extend their lead at the top of the table. On Sunday, there are 3 2 o'clock kickoffs, including a huge match at the bottom of the table for Burnley, who can actually get themselves out of the relegation zone with a victory ahead of Everton facing Liverpool in the Merseyside derby at 4:30 UK time. On Monday night, the football ends with Crystal Palace taking on Leeds. But before all that, the late game on Saturday sees another London derby between Brentford and Tottenham Hotspur. Let's hear from both managers ahead of this one, Thomas Frank and Antonio Conte.
I agree. I look at the table once in a while. I think it's not worth using too much time on that because you can't change that. It's a snapshot and then it changes next week and so on. I look at the performances and the next game. I was actually only thinking it was an average performance against Watford. So I hope we can perform even better against Tottenham. We want to focus on tomorrow and see what we can do and end as high as possible. Instead of thinking we are safe, we never talked about that the whole season. Only talked about next game and end as high as possible, and then that's still the aim. Antonio is a fantastic manager, and I think the intensity of the game went up since he took over. In the way they press. If you've got 2 good tens like you have in Song and Kulusevski, then he plays in a 3-4-3. So the patterns are very clear, structured, but easier said than done to close it down.
We are talking about a team that is showing to deserve to play Premier League, and they're playing very well. They have beaten an important team. it won't be easy. It won't be easy for us. They are very strong physically. They play good football. They are very dangerous in set pieces. This type of game you want to beat, no? To beat a team that is in a good position. For this reason, my expectation to have a tough game and a tricky game. We have to pay great attention and we have to be ready. We have to be ready. We have to be ready because now not many games to go, and every game is very important for us, especially because I repeat, we want to stay until the end to fight in this race for a place in Champions League.
Yeah, well, Tottenham are the team who currently occupy that 4th spot in the Premier League table, Tim. So it's theirs to lose, isn't it?
Absolutely. Obviously, the North London derby, so it's in Arsenal's hands as well as Tottenham's. That's going to be a crucial game. Brilliant. I mean, the job he's done, Conte, since he's come to the club, they wasn't even in the argument when he arrived, to finish in the top 4. He's put real belief into them. They're playing similar system every single week, continuity in that. Yes, a little bit of inconsistencies in the performance, getting the best out of Kane and Son. Kulusevski's come in there. Bentancur, midfield, I think he's warming to it as well. They made good additions in January. I think he's done a wonderful job, I really do. From when he started to still being in a position to push for the top 4, you'd have to say, hands up, he's done a good job.
What happened against Brighton last time out then, Owen?
They were really bad. I mean, surprisingly, really bad. I mean, didn't have a shot on target, didn't create anything. Thing is as well, they scored a ton of goals, but often the goals are in transit. This was a fabulous goal, by the way. The football for it was absolutely outstanding. What a chop there and then outside of the right foot from Trossard, but created nothing. No shots on target. Brighton did an amazing job of nullifying the whole attack, and all they did is the centre-backs just dropped off. Think about all the goals that they've scored. Kane and Son, they've had space. Kane's dropped in and Son's got on the shoulder, and they played a ball over the top and they're in. Brighton just literally dropped off. There was no space to run into, and the midfield is good, but it's functional. They don't play passes between the lines. They got outnumbered against Brighton. They only had 2 in there, Bentancur and Højbjerg, and they really, really struggled. So I think when they play forward too quickly, which they did against Brighton, they struggle. So I think if you're Brentford, you'll probably see them drop off, centre-backs drop off and nullify the space, and then see if they can, pick passes. Because I agree with Tim, he's done an unbelievable job, but they can't really control the game, passing-wise. That's not his. They're good on the break, the ball over the top, and quick transitions.
That seems to be it, doesn't it, Sam? When you look at the front 3 for Tottenham, you look at their attackers, you look at the attacking options for Arsenal and Manchester United, perhaps West Ham as well, if you include them in the teams going for the top 4. Because Tottenham's front 3 seem to be the most powerful, should you say, does that give them the edge for a Champions League spot?
I suppose it probably does, because they're all about as inconsistent as each other.
Yeah.
You say the front 3, but even if it was just Kane and Son, you'd be happy. And then Kane and Son plus somebody else to stretch it and make the kind of runs would do the job. It probably does come down to that at the end of it, because like the Arsenal United game tomorrow, anything could happen. No idea. Both teams so inconsistent. Obviously, Arsenal just got a big win and United a bad loss, but it doesn't really mean anything with these teams. Spurs similar. We saw the run four games in a row that they won, and then nothing against Brighton. Brentford could make this end to end, and they're really good on set pieces. Throw-ins, they make it hard for you. Even when you're trying to get the ball back on the pitch, they cut off your options. They can make it really difficult. But when you've got somebody like Kane, or you've got the combination where suddenly Kane drops off, how many times they do it to Man City? If they can do it to Man City, they can do it to anyone. So yeah, that might well be what swings it come the end of the season.
And Brentford are one of the form teams in the division right now, Tim. That's come out of nowhere, really. They've won 5 of their last 6 matches. They're going to cause Tottenham a lot of trouble, and their former player, Christian Eriksen, is just playing out of his skin at the moment, isn't he?
Outstanding. He's been a great signing for them. They've done brilliant for Christian, and Christian's done brilliant for them. It'd be interesting to see what he wants to do next year. There'll be plenty of teams queuing up for him, take him on a free transfer. Whether he wants to stay loyal to Brentford or give him the opportunity. This is the one. When the game's going nowhere and he delivers that cross off his left foot, Ivan Toney just has to stick his head on it. It makes it look easy. And he bursts forward. Look at the fitness. If you're interested in, is he fit enough? I mean, this boy is the fittest boy ever. Greatest trainer. Just a fantastic person to have around your football club. And for someone like a team like Brentford to have him in your ranks is just incredible. But been outstanding. He's got a point to prove to Antonio Conte. He took him to Inter Milan. He hardly played him. Didn't really give him the game time what Christian wanted. So he'd be looking to prove a point. Yes, he's going back there. He owes an awful lot to Tottenham Hotspur, and Tottenham owe an awful lot to him. This is a tough fixture, a real tough fixture. I think you're in great form, wonderful form. We've got nothing to lose. You know, to be safe at this stage of the season, a team like Brentford, and I think they are safe. I always felt home form was going to be crucial to them when they beat Arsenal in the first game, and it's proved that way.
Do you think we could see Christian Eriksen back in a Tottenham shirt?
No, I think that ship's sailed. I think I agree with Tim. He's a fabulous player, but he just adds a bit of class to that team. They got the power at the top of the pitch. Obviously, Tony's fantastic, and Mbeumo is a really good player. Vissa, at the top of the pitch, they're really good. I actually think that Brentford team that's the blueprint for a team to come up. That's how you should play. That is how you should play. You should be defensively sound, have a threat at the top of the pitch, and find a way to be difficult to beat. But Eriksen adds a touch of class, and you need that. He has a bit of composure, gives the boys a bit of confidence. What a sign, Tim's right. What a signing he's been for them.
Oh, and he can improve United.
Oh, definitely. But I don't think he'd want to. Not sure he'd want that same pressure anymore after everything that's happened. I think he's in a good spot. It looks like they love him. He's the main man. Do you really want to go like you went to Inter and you're not playing? I don't think you need that when you're in the end of your career.
Yeah, Ajax, the connection, Ten Hag. I think he could go back to United. And put it out there.
Okay, there we
Sounds
go.
like he's
Heard
got,
it here first.
It's good enough.
Got some inside sources or something there, right, Tim?
There.
I think he's capable, and I think that it's a free transfer. Not sure what finance they would have, to attract top class players. Someone who can go in there for nothing, not cost you any money, and improve your midfield. There he is. There's your man there.
All right. Keep your mouth shut for now. Right, we've taken you around all our featured games. Let's bring you up to speed with what else is happening up and down the division as we head around the grounds.
And I will always pick a team to win the game. As I said, supporters are travelling throughout Europe with us and up and down the country. So my thinking is always on the next game, and that is Aston Villa tomorrow. So we'll play a team that we believe can look to get a good result, and then we have enough recovery time through until Thursday.
I think it'll be interesting what team they decide to pick, because they've obviously changed a lot in terms of personnel going from game to Europe. They've obviously got a real busy fixture schedule, so they've got an important game on Thursday. They're on the back of a game on Wednesday night. But for me, the preparation's been about Aston Villa. The last 2 weeks has given us an opportunity to work on some things and continue some things that we've been doing ever so well. And for me, the priority is how we perform on the day.
Well, I think we played them might have been November time, and we were in similar positions at their place. Obviously, the January window, they've spent big and brought in, some big players and really good players at this level. And with that, they've gone on a really good run, especially at home. I think they've won 5 or 6 at home on the spin. They'll want to be trying to improve their away record, but we're fighting for our lives now as well.
Expecting a tough game. You look back at their last 2 fixtures, so they went to Old Trafford and played very, very well. Really unfortunate not to get anything from that game. Quite an attacking style. Obviously scored 2 goals away from home, which they'll be pleased with. And then the game before that was against Burnley, where again they were excellent. The crowd there always get behind their team, so we have to be prepared for that. We have to be mentally right. I think that's our biggest challenge after last week.
We know always when we play Southampton it's a tough game, and we managed to get that last kick of the game down to 10 men, and it probably shows a little bit about a lot of the experiences we've had this season. Have been late goals, and that's not luck. It's something within the team which is positive. But we want to play well, we want to play good. So we're looking forward to the game. Like I said, Southampton always give you a tough challenge.
Play different, better for sure. Otherwise, we have no chance there, and I'm sure that we can do it better than today. Let's first look to the game, look another time for what I've seen today, and then hopefully we don't have a lot of time, but to give them a chance to show the reaction of the weekend. Yeah, we have now all the teams there around us, and if you are stronger than they, then you deserve to be there. If not, it's a very simple question.
They've done terrific so far, haven't they? I think so. I think they've got, again, a club with a clear identity in how they play. Managers who's come into new to the league and took to it really well. So you know their style. I think it's no great secret, but they're very difficult to play against. So again, it's up for us to try and find any weaknesses we can in them, and us to build on from the other day.
We remember what happened in the first game. We played well, and it was 0-0. And when you look for the game, especially what they are doing in the last games, is the same team. Solid, compact. Everyone is running for the goal, and they are running for survival, because when you are in that position and you have 5 or 6 games in front of you, you are running for survival.
It's a good side. I think this is a team who, like the majority of the team in the Premier League, played with a lot of energy. They've got pace. They've got the new manager with a different philosophy, I will say it. But they've been doing well. So we're expecting a challenging game.
My focus right now is not about how important the 3 points are or with the upcoming schedule. It's Crystal Palace is a team we have a lot of respect for. They made it to the FA Cup semi-final. They've had an incredible season. They have a lot of quality players that are very dangerous in 1v1 situations and in transition moments, and they have a really good coach. And we know that Palace is a tough place to play. So it will be a big challenge for us, and it will require entire concentration and focus on the task at hand.
All right, let's start with Leicester against Aston Villa then. Owen, I think you mentioned earlier, Leicester obviously in a semi-final of their own in the Europa Conference League. Are they focusing solely on that now?
No, I think they'll want to have a bit of form, going into that. I think it's a tough fixture. They're both mid-table. I like Aston Villa. I like the group of players Stevie has. I think he'll tidy it up in the summer defensively, especially. Maybe add another defensive midfield player. I think that's where he wants to strengthen. But Leicester have the stronger squad, I'd say. But again, both teams have been super inconsistent this season, so literally could be anything.
It could be, couldn't it? Norwich against Newcastle as well, Tim. What's Newcastle's incentive for the rest of this campaign now?
To get as high as they possibly can, and I think that for the players, it's want to be part of this journey. It looks very exciting for now. It looks like Eddie's kept them up. They're going to spend some money, we know that. If I was a Newcastle player, I want to be part of this, because you don't know how much they're going to spend. It could be, dare I say, a Blackburn.
Oh dear. Okay, we'll see. You reckon?
Who knows? You spend money and you throw it. You spend it in the right places, on the right players, you can win the title.
There we go. All right, let's talk about a South Coast battle. Brighton taking on Southampton. Both teams have been fairly unpredictable of late, shall we say?
Yeah, I'm glad Owen already said it with his prediction, but this could be anything as well. You just don't know. Brighton, obviously they had the 2 great results against Tottenham and Arsenal, but they'd completely fallen off before that, and obviously they go to City and they haven't quite got the capability for that, but fair enough. Southampton the same. Southampton got Liverpool later in the season. They could give them a really difficult game at St Mary's, but in a game like this, they could lose 3-0.
Yeah.
They could win 3-0. I don't know. It wouldn't be a bad game to watch. I think it'd be quite interesting, but honestly, anything could happen. It could be anything.
OK, let's talk about Tim's new favourite team at the moment, Burnley. After watching them last night, you were so impressed. They take on Wolves. Can you see them getting all 3 points again, back-to-back wins?
I really can, because the confidence they're going to take into the game from that Wolves. I was impressed with them. I was impressed with their attitude, the way they threw bodies forward, created more chances. I really felt when Sean Dyche left, I thought that was the end of it. If you need anyone to keep you in the league, it's Sean Dyche. And Matt Jackson's taken over, and he's obviously got something there. So good luck to him, and I think that the result taking them what they had the other night will take them into winning the next 2 games. Let alone they beat Wolves and then they beat Watford, and halfway there.
And if they do beat Wolves on Sunday, Owen, it means that Everton would be in the relegation zone come kick-off in the Merseyside derby later that day. How are you seeing this fight for survival shaping up? Who do you think is going to go?
I mean, you would have said Burnley for sure before, but obviously I think Everton are in trouble. I think Leeds could fall back into it. They have some really tough fixtures. It looked like they were out of it, but Burnley, you go with the form team always. At the top and at the bottom, and obviously I think Burnley have a bit of form, a bit of confidence. They got the ball down, they're playing a bit more. The boys will love that, and they're scoring goals. So I think you'd have to say, even the position they're in now, I think Burnley might, I agree with Tim, I think they might stay out of it.
OK, Crystal Palace also take on Leeds, Tim. I feel like this might be a high-scoring game. What do you think?
I think so. Nothing to lose. Both teams are safe. Might as well go for it. Entertaining. Got a lot of good quality players on the pitch. We know how Leeds play. We know exactly. I mean, whether it's Jesse Marsch or Bielsa's Leeds, they still play on the front foot. A lot of open spaces, and I think Palace might be able to exploit them.
OK, well, look, I didn't ask you what you think's going to happen in that one, Sam, because before we end the show, we've just about got enough time to see Sam's predictions. You are in the hot seat today. Let's see what you've gone for. Your name is not Robbie. We'll pretend that wasn't there.
Nickname.
Sam's predictions. And look, you've gone for exactly what I thought. High-scoring game at Selhurst Park.
Yeah. I thought the other ones were too boring, and by the time I got to the bottom of the list, I thought,
You got bored and thought, I'll go 6.
Yeah. I just thought I'd mix it up a bit, give someone to talk about. But yeah, like Tim said, should be a good game, and the fans will be bang up for it as well on a Monday night at Selhurst Park.
Yeah, it's brilliant there, isn't it?
For sure.
Let's go to some of the key fixtures where things could turn. OK, so the title race, obviously you've gone from City and Liverpool to both win, but a Liverpool victory means that, in your opinion, Everton losing and Burnley winning means, just like Owen and Tim have predicted, do you think Everton are going to be in the bottom 3 come the end of the weekend?
Well, judging by the fixtures, yeah. I mean, Wolves at home. I mean, I might be being a bit generous to Burnley, and Tim might be as well, thinking they'll beat Wolves, but it's the kind of game that Wolves could lose. And then, at Anfield, Everton, they're obviously struggling, and Liverpool, nothing more needs to be said. I do think it'll be quite close. That's why I've gone with the 2-1.
As for the fight for the top 4, it looks like Arsenal will be 4th come the end of the weekend for you.
Apparently. Yeah. Well, we said Brentford will give Spurs a good game, and again, another one which could go either way. Arsenal, they've got the edge over you. They're a better team than United, and if football's as simple as that, then they'll win. But it isn't always, is it?
Anything you want to argue with there, boys?
All good. That's why he's sitting there. They're all good predictions.
Owen, anything you disagree with?
No, I think it's done good. I like it. Ambitious. Lots of goals. That's what the fans want to see. Let's see. We should come in after the weekend and see how well he did.
I felt like you were under a bit of pressure there, Sam.
I did them 3 months ago and they were terrible. I'm glad I didn't have to come back on that Monday. They were awful.
It is not looking too bad. I tell you what, it's so difficult to predict what's going to happen. But in Sam's opinion, City are going to still be top, Arsenal are going to be 4th, and Everton are going to be in the bottom 3 come the end of this weekend. But it is going to be a roller coaster from now until the end of the season. Tim, Owen, Sam, good to have your company. As always, enjoy the fixtures this weekend in the Premier League. What will happen? Who knows? We'll see you next time here on the Weekend Preview.